Confidence is tricky. Now, we all think everyone else has more of it than we do. But on today's show, we're going to pull back the curtain on imposter syndrome, self doubt, and why even seasoned performers feel the wobble, usually before they feel the victory. And we've got someone who's brave enough to step into a live coaching and instruction session, sharing their challenges so every presenter listening can learn processes and basically how we can fix it together. You ready? Let's go. Today's guest, Julie Winkle Giulioni, is a champion for growth in the workplace and a trusted voice in career development. She's the co-author of the international bestseller, Help Them Grow or Watch Them Go, and author of the award-winning Promotions Are So Yesterday. And her insights and talks and training have shaped leaders around the world. And we're going to kind of climb into that training side. I'm going to let her take it from here. Julie, welcome to the show. I'll give you about a minute and a half. Kind of give us your journey. How did we get here?
Oh my gosh. In a minute and a half, you got it.
There you go.
I have been an educator my whole life. My very first job, I was teaching, and my audience has just grown as I have. With my specialty being over the last couple of decades, really leadership development more than anything. I've worked inside organizations. My last real job in an organization was the director of product development for a large commercial training organization. And we're going to get into that because that kind of has shaped my point of view when it
Hmm.
comes to helping people learn and grow and change their behavior. And it's sort of in the back of my head when I'm engaged in speaking. But for the last 25 years or so, I've been writing and consulting and training and speaking on topics related to growth and development, as well as engagement, the real priority actions that leaders and organizations need to succeed.
Yeah, good. And I know some of this because you and I have become friends over the years, fellow Barrett Kohler authors and sometimes retreaters and things like that. So really great to see you again. But I love the fact that and we talked about it, and I said, oh, I would love to do this on the air. We're going to talk about confidence a little bit. And here's the good news. Like everyone else, you appear to be a very confident person. I'm pretty sure I appear to be a very confident person, but that doesn't mean each of us doesn't wobble in our own way. We just don't necessarily let everybody in on the fact that there's a bit of a wobble going on right now. But let me throw this at you. What percentage of professional speakers, I've got this from the internet, so it has to be right. But I actually looked this up and just sort of threw it out there. What percentage of speakers do you think will admit privately that they struggle with confidence? They're having similar apprehension as you may have.
The struggle and admit privately is going to be a much bigger number. But probably, I would say probably 50% of people don't sleep all that well the
Right.
night before a big speaking engagement. The problem is when you're up on a stage, you can't let on, or
Right.
when you're speaking to an agent or a booking organization. So we all keep these great facades going that don't allow us to have these real conversations about feelings. The wobble, I love that expression. Wobble beneath the surface.
That will be our code word from now on, you and I. Huh? Doing any wobbling lately? Just a little. But I'm a very half full person, so I would sort of flip that right off the bat, and I'd say maybe the wobble is something we shouldn't avoid or fear. Maybe we should embrace it because what the wobble may also tell us is that we're not going to be flat. We're not going to phone this one in. You know, I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a one man crusade. Do not like the word nervous. I don't like hearing people tell me they're nervous because I don't think it's accurate. I don't think you're nervous. I think you're anxious, and anxious the way. You pardon this expression. I'll aim it at me for right now because I almost I think of myself sort of like as a horse that's going to be running a race, okay? And I have some apprehension. I have some anxiety. I mean, there's a lot of different things that are going to need to happen and are going to happen pretty quickly right now. But mentally, I think to myself, I'm kind of glad I have that little buzz in the belly, as I call it, because the one thing I actually do fear is just being flat, just not
Mhm.
having it. And so I think that the anxiousness, in a sense, is my get out of jail free card. It feeds in so that I know that I don't know how things are going to go, but I know one thing, I'm going to have some, I'm not phoning this in.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I remember early on someone used the expression about, taking those butterflies that you have and having them fly in formation.
There you go.
And that's what you're talking about. I want to, though, I think my situation may have some nuance
Okay,
that
let's hear it.
may be a little bit different. So, coming out of an instructional design background, my last real job was building these bulletproof leadership programs that non-subject matter experts could deliver. And so I've developed over the years this really deep appreciation for engaging participants, for tapping the wisdom of the group, and shifting the airtime ratio so that others are speaking more, and I'm in really that facilitator of insight and behavior change role. And so in a workshop, I feel like I'm home. That's where I can do those things that come so naturally. But when I wrote that first Barrett Kohler book 13 years ago, and I took to the stage, everything changes, because they are no longer the ones in the spotlight with the mic in their face. I'm the one. And that's what creates this I don't know, internal dissonance that results, I think, in that wobble.
Oh, now here's where we're very different. That feeds energy into me. Why, other than the facilitation, and I deliver a lot of workshops, probably more workshops than I do keynotes. So I get the rhythm, and I certainly know I can take a corner of the desk and sit, put up one leg up, one leg down, and and really have at it and relay questions and reverse questions. So what do you think is the other than the fact that you can't engage that audience as much? What else, why do you think you feel more apprehension for a keynote? Is it this sheer number of participants?
No, it's all coming from me. It's all on my shoulders. There's not that same level. Of course, I do make my keynotes and my speeches interactive and engaging, but there's not that same level of pulling from the group that has traditionally been my energy source.
Right. Do you find yourself loosening up 5, 10 minutes into it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, then let's shift from the coaching to some instruction. And I'm going to throw out some ideas and some thoughts, but then why don't we meet in the middle here? Why not think of, we know we like to engage the audience. Why don't we engage them real early? I mean, come on stage and say, thank you so much, and I appreciate you bringing here. And Larry, what an intro. I'd like 3 volunteers. I mean, just hit them with something. Show them a video. Do something that just lets you get your land legs under you.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes all the difference in the world.
Right,
When I can do a poll, get somebody talking, something like that, it it shifts the focus. It feels like it shifts the focus off of me back to them, which has always been sort of my mindset.
right. And I also think, Julie, that even if it's a story, there's something really nice about when we tell a story. I don't need to look at my notes. I don't need to even be tethered to the lectern. Let's hope we're not anyway. I can enjoy this story.
Mhm.
And again, I'm trying to fool the body and fool the mind a little bit right now to say, I just wish I could snap my fingers and be 4 minutes into this thing. Well, maybe we can get 4 minutes into this thing by just being a little more creative up front.
Yep, yep, I love that. Yeah, I think engineering those first few minutes is a game changer.
Yeah. You know,
without a
what is
doubt.
it in real estate? They say location, location, location. I think in presentations is preparation, preparation, preparation.
Mhm.
The more prepared we are, funny, the less anxious we are.
Yeah.
Uh, and I like, I'm not done with that beginning yet either. I love having something that's comfortable for you to do. But I
Mhm.
also, as a guy who's real anti-scripts and things like that, I'm not going to lecture on scripts, but I will tell you, I would be most thought out of those first 3 minutes of what you're going to say than the other 57 minutes combined. I'm going to amend that. I want that last 60 seconds real tight also. But we got about 56 minutes in the middle there that we'll get our legs under us and we want it to breathe and we want some authenticity. So maybe I'm going to let you talk for a moment. Tell me the game plan when you're beginning. The intro has been given, probably a little clumsier than we'd like, but you're there now. Okay. You, just like we did here, it's not an accident when I say 90 seconds. I'm actually trying to simulate what I'd love to see maximum be on the stage. I think our stories go way too long of who we are. That's interesting to us, but not so much to the audience, sadly. So tell me what we're doing after we kind of make that bridge from intro to audience. What's that? What's the game plan there?
Well, I don't say anything about myself. I
Oh,
just feel like whatever anybody else has said, they lie, I'll swear to it. Whatever. Let's get on with the show.
good for you.
Uh, so I don't belabor that at all. Um, just, and we should probably come back to that. I'd like your thoughts on that because I think sometimes I so go in the background that I don't maybe establish the credentials or the sense of authority or credibility or what. I think there may be some opportunity there.
Julie, it'd be easier if we stop right there and
All right.
let's tick this one off because
All
this
right.
isn't going to be hard. Uh, I really do think unless you've got the best introduction, I mean, not just written, but delivered in the most energetic and powerful way, which happens to me once every 2 years. Okay. Usually they're a little clunky. They did a little more downloading off the internet. It's all over the place. I think if you go, the reason why I threw 90 seconds at you is I think if you take longer than that, you're wearing out, you're welcome.
Yeah.
But I think if you take shorter than that, if you don't really do that, you have to, in a sense, repair that intro that was given. If nothing else, just put a little tune behind it. Maybe I always love to say, boy, I didn't even know who he was talking about there. Something that just, particularly if she's got this, it's won awards, things like that, to just say hi and go. I think we need a transition there. And maybe again, this might give you a little bit more comfort of easing into the material. So
Mhm.
it's usually thank you, and I'll just add and I go, okay. But I've had to really shorten that. I needed to take a lesson from you on that one because I always thought my story was interesting, and to me it is. But apparently to audiences, I know I can do a good job at it, but I don't think I think we've got that 90 seconds. Let's use it intelligently, and now we've got a more of a buffer into the rest of it. All right. Now I'm turning it back over to you. Uh,
Okay.
Tell me about the next 90 seconds, the next 2 minutes. What does that sound like?
So typically it would be some sort of kind of acknowledging, letting folks know I get their pain
Hmm.
and how our time together is going to help heal it or at least ease it a little bit.
Right.
That's normally when I try to throw something in that demonstrates I understand their industry or their organization. Um, while every client, every organization thinks they're unique and they've got, all of these very peculiar problems to be contending with, it's so universal. And so sometimes being able to put those unique problems into that bigger context also lets people kind of heave a sigh of relief and
Yeah, she's done her homework.
yeah, and lets them know, ideally what I'd like to do during that time is let them know they're in good hands, that I've got them.
Right. Okay. Now I'm going to come back with a couple other thoughts. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, First of all, can't disagree with anything you say. And maybe that's part of your 90 seconds, quite frankly. I get your pain because I think that's really important that every speaker, if I'm going to talk to a sales audience, it'd be nice for them to know that I sold something, right? If I'm going to talk to a group of leaders, it'd be nice for them to understand that I've made some similar mistakes and I've had some successes too. But I think that's what I mean in terms of easing your way in. But I want to throw a couple other thoughts at you. For instance, I I still think that audiences need what we call a WIFM. Okay, that acronym WIFM. What's in it for me? I see you nodding your head, uh, and I would kind of rather get at it sooner rather than later, because now, particularly for a keynote, you never know who got pushed into that room a little bit, you know. They're at a meeting, the company may be going through changes. We never know as speakers. We just get up there. If I could read some sort of tea leaves and say, look, I all 100 people can't wait to hear my message. Then I wouldn't do it, but they don't. They come in, I can't read the room, and I know I'll never lose an audience if I say, one of the, I'm so happy to be here because I think if we can really uh, understand leadership from a more creative angle, we're not only going to be more effective with those that we manage, we're going to be more effective for the company that we represent. And by golly, I think some of these skills you'll be able to use at home with your friends, with your children, with your significant others. And so what you hear me doing is just trying to build a case. So get their pain, love that as a transition. Maybe we transition to here's what's in it for you to be here, and here's where we're going. And here's how we're going to get there, right?
Yep.
Uh, and one other thought, just throwing this out. And when we're done, I'm gonna document this for you, and I'm gonna show you what this is. You're coming off of an acronym that I work with, so I'm gonna put pieces in. But I think uniquely for your topic, and I'm maybe way off on the line here. What I love talking about you is you'll tell me. You'll go, yeah, on the first one. No, Rob, leave the second. But I think with your topic that sometimes we have people that want to be there, know what's in it for them to be there, know where we're going, how we're going to get there, know who you are, but maybe they've tried this in the past and it hasn't worked. They haven't had success. In other words, uh, you don't have to convince me I need to do this. You have to convince me that this is actually going to work. And so sometimes what I love is just easing in, we call it a proof of ability, to say, I worked with an organization or I worked with a group of leaders about 6 months ago, and we were able to not only implement the ideas from the book, but now what they're seeing is this. So I'm sure we'll be able to take a shot and work on that with you. That's me just trying to hit an objection that hasn't been articulated. And we call that a proof of ability. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and when I throw these out, I always love to play a game of talk me out of it, meaning which one should we just never not give an audience, So what do you think about a proof of the concept of a proof of ability?
I love that. Yeah, I think, and to me, there's a little bit of, I think it blends into, I understand your situation, I feel your pain.
You got
Um,
it.
because in many cases, the unspoken or the soon to be spoken, but not quite yet, objection is all good. I'm on board. I don't have time.
Mm,
And so time becomes, kind of the pain point that can be spoken to early on.
yeah.
And so diffusing that from the start, um, it's interesting. I am sometimes I feel reluctant to share a lot about the other work that I do because in most cases the work is under an NDA. I need to be really careful. And of course you can genericize things.
Yeah.
But then folks are kind of like, oh yeah, right.
But if
It
that's
doesn't mean
sensitive,
anything.
then maybe we pull back a little bit from there. You're right about feel your pain because actually part of a proofability is not just a proof source, but ourselves. So you could sort of slide over there. But the ones that say, I don't have time, bang, we're right back at that whiff 'em again. That's why we give them the whiff 'em, because I can't tell who thinks they don't have time right now. And
Yep.
time means this is, if it's not worth my time, I don't really have a need to be here. Okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
this is the sales trainer in me that says, I'm very comfortable reminding an audience of the value that they're going to get and then drive that presentation to the value. And then, of course, at the end, remind them of the value, right?
That is such a great sales technique.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
There is
There's
the
a lot of
classic.
overlap.
Yeah, there's the classic tell them what you're going to tell them what you told them. I find that to be so lacking in so many ways. Tell them what's in it for them. Tell them to give them a sense of the big picture. Tell them how you're going to talk about it. What do you expect out of them? There's more we can put in there. But the concept of, believe it or not, I'm going to quote the great Jerry Lewis on this one, who actually said one time, I don't know if you know this, but I've studied that man quite a bit. And if you hung around me, you understand.
I
I
was
think
going to
he
say that does
has.
not surprise me.
Yeah, not surprising. Exactly. He said, you tell them about the trick, but always make sure with an audience that you make sure they understand that the trick has been done. And that's important, Julie, because sometimes it's so clear to us. We're connecting the dots, A to B, B to C. We forget that, well, we've connected these dots a few thousand times. I don't know if the audience is necessarily everybody has connected that I told you we were going to do this. I told you how we were going to do this, and we did it to
Mhm.
remind them. And so and plus it gives us a really nice controlled close,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. So yeah, what do you
Nice.
think?
I like that. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And it's a nice, more value add structural component to be able to overlay.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go jumping back or around a little bit. I want to go back to confidence because I'm going to give you a quick lesson that I taught my children. Okay.
Oh,
Uh,
good.
yes, you're now
All
one of my
right, Dad,
children.
go for
Yes,
it.
that's right. Pay attention, you. But no, they always come in and I don't know if I can do this. And I have two words I always throw at them. I go, track record, two words, track record. What's your track record? What normally happens when you deliver this presentation? And you can't help but smile and go, oh, yeah, pretty much it exceeds my expectations. Everything works and no one is angry. Nobody threw anything at the stage. Uh, I may have had to wrestle that apprehension a little bit, but no one really saw it. I knew I had it. Uh, but I love focusing on track record because I think we forget that, and I'm looking for a couple words, a pep talk for my brain. That's a nice one. Wait a minute, what usually happens? Oh yeah, it usually goes really well. Well then, I don't know about this year, but let's go with what's been working, and away we go.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yep.
love that. And you're right. The best predictor of future success is what's happened in the past, and
Right.
reflecting upon that and looking at customer testimonials and feedback and that kind of thing before might be a really good exercise
Yeah,
for settling the brain.
absolutely. And ooh, two old school quotes. Now we're going to quote Carol Burnett, uh, who once said on Howard Stern of all places. Uh, she said, the body doesn't know when the mind is acting because she had a
Hmm.
terrible struggle with apprehension. The the body doesn't know when the mind is acting. And so, because she talked very, and still does, talks very openly about her stage fright. I don't even like those words, by the way. I've been avoiding those, but that's words that she used. And we look at her and go, "That's impossible." It's but one of the most natural performers with just a
Physical.
tremendous history of performance. Very anxious, but she knows and she's confident. I can fool them here, and my body will follow along. And so that's also kind of stabilizing a little bit to know that. I mean, what if I whispered in your ear right before you said, "Ro, Rob, I'm a TED Talk, NSA. I got a big one here," and I whispered in your ear, not only did they say, "What track record," uh, but what if I whispered, "I've actually seen you speak when you've told me you're anxious and didn't see 1 ounce of it. So you're faking really well. Now go get them." In a sense, that gives you confidence. Like, so they can't see it. No, they can't. I've seen speakers where they can, and I'll tell you if they did, if I ever saw one. But you're not that person. I've seen you speak. So, again, another thing that I'm trying to feed into the mind to get it where I need to. So look where we got. We got track record. We're feeding in what normally happens. We're also managing that opening maybe a little bit differently, right? Perhaps putting in a good story, which we should do anyhow, even if we weren't talking about this. Why wouldn't we would not be starting with something that is creative? Okay, so right now, we're just knocking it down with process moves.
But I'm going to go back to Carol Burnett for a minute. Um, the body doesn't know when the mind is acting. She used her body so extensively. It
Yeah,
makes me wonder, as speakers, can we help the mind to act if we get the body doing something?
right. Yeah,
And I know that, if I have to, for whatever reason, be stuck in a small space, when I can't walk back and forth, when I've had to hold a mic and I can't gesticulate, oh my gosh, that's horrible. So I wonder if there's something physical also going on here.
yeah. Well, we'll get to I can't move in a room, and I did a 5 day workshop once in a conference room. I couldn't even get to the outside of the chairs. They were kind of pushed up against the walls. And we make lemonade out of those.
Yep.
Uh, and
It's
so
real cozy.
which is actually kind of important. If you don't mind me just pausing there for a second, we got to be careful because, and I'm going to speak to me, Rob, listen up. Sometimes I can get angry. I don't like this room. And I don't like the fact that, they're squishing me in this room. That's my client out there. Okay. I don't think it was malicious. They probably know it wasn't the very best they could have done. So I have to shift that mindset to, and then I do this. I'm going to give the most amazing talk in a 2 foot space. No one will ever do a better job of this than I will. And I'm not going to complain and I'm not going to whine because if I do, A, it's the client. B, then the audience starts whining. Like, yeah, it's like going to a baseball game, If the parents start yelling at the ump, or if the player yells, the parents start yelling, we got a mess. Okay.
Yep.
I don't want to set off my audience. So no, this is going to be great
Lead by
as my nose
example.
grows 3 inches. Yeah. Uh, but yeah, I love that. I think that movement may be one of our best allies. And I don't mean just side to side either. I like coming off that riser. Uh, I'm not a big fan of holding mics either because I got a clicker in one hand, I got a mic in another hand, and then sometimes I'm actually using objects, and I've run out of hands. So that's not easy.
Yes.
We're all going for wireless mics, but again, here it is. I can't get angry. I got to make it work, right? So now I've got someone. I need slides moved. I've got somebody in the front row moving my slides. Get creative, which, by the way, is kind of a fun way of interacting with the audience a little bit, right?
They've got some skin in the game.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had a couple clickers go out on me, and I think they're very good presentations. I could almost create a scam and just everywhere go, my clicker's not working just because I love the interaction. It's like having a scribe on stage,
Hmm. Hmm.
interacting with the scribe a little bit, just
Yeah.
playing with them. And then the audience and the audience is that scribe is them.
Yeah.
It's the same with the person I sometimes will actually lean forward and kick my leg back every time I want a slide moved. So I'll just sort of point and the audience gets into it a little bit and away we go. But the mind, I'm not happy my clicker isn't working. I think we have to remind ourselves, got to keep that under control.
Oh, for
Do you,
sure.
when you do a keynote, side to side, yes, out into the audience, maybe?
Absolutely.
Good.
Unless the stairs are treacherous and I'm in heels.
Uh,
So, that's something that you don't have to
this I
consider.
wouldn't know of. But I actually practice, usually
Yeah.
get in the room, jumping off the riser and making sure I can get back on it again because some of them are higher than others.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I'm not 22 anymore,
Yeah.
but because we don't want to have an issue. But
Yeah.
yeah, I love coming off there when we can. Here's a question to you. Because I'm looking for ways to punch it up in the middle too. Keep everything going. We're going to do something creative up front, but we know we got two, three more touch points somewhere. Do you ever do exercises, or does your material allow you to do an exercise where you're interacting with one person and trying to record it with another?
Hmm. That has not been something that I've typically done in a large group. And I'll tell you, it's probably because I don't ever want to put somebody on the spot, make them feel uncomfortable, create that kind of angst for someone else. The whole psychological safety thing
Yeah.
can be a little bit dicey, but say more.
Okay. First of all, love having a scribe up on stage with me, and they love it. When I say, I'm looking for a scribe, and somebody's hand goes up, that means they're fine with this. But I love being able to be in the audience, react to what's recording of somebody recording on stage, and then having a conversation. Now, you bring up a really good point. Ooh, what if we get the wrong person? A lot of times with me, it's just a recent purchase decision or something like that. So, but I will tell you that I've done a couple of these for at least 30 years. Uh, they are my go-to moves, a few of them, because there's a lot of improv. You never know how it's going to go. I've never had anybody, I'm treating them with kid gloves. Although if they want to play around, we play around. And I'm
I'm
kind of
sure.
hoping they do. But no, I'm not. You embarrass somebody like that. Not only have you done a disservice to that individual and you're going to get it, you're going to lose the rest of that
You've
audience
lost the
too.
group.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to be so careful. And
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about humor with you as well, because that's the other thing that can play into that dynamic.
Well, so let's talk about that, right? So, well, let me just pause. I'm going to give you a homework assignment. And your homework assignment is, and maybe we'll swap an email on this, is I'd love you to think, is there something that a story you're telling or a process you're showing that maybe we follow, but we don't know we're following it. See, I follow purchase decisions, things like that. And then I relate it to cycles and process. But I'm just trying to show the audience you actually are doing this, you just don't know it.
Yeah.
So maybe with that, if you could think about that and find you're probably doing it, but you may not know it. Maybe the last time somebody, let's get an example of somebody and scribe it. You're going to find a really fun interaction going on there. Uh, and that's going to what you'll look forward to that moment, which is lovely. Okay, so we'll touch back on that one, but just not on the air. Uh, what about humor? Let's talk humor. Oh, so misunderstood humor.
Let's
What?
talk
Hit me
humor.
with your best shot.
I cannot tell a joke to save my life. I mean, it's like the joke of the family. So, whereas you can make not so much my skill set. And so I mean, I can be kind of goofy and I can play off of other people, but in terms of like really clean humor, it's
Yeah.
not me. So I
Okay.
find like little things. If I'm working with a vascular device organization, I'll say something about, well, we got to get to the heart of the matter here, and but it's just like, see, I'm not
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. All right, that was a very good example. Okay. Now, all right, here's the good news. Then let's go all good news on this. And I would love to do a show on nothing but humor, and we'd still probably need two of them. Folks, right off the bat, let's remind ourselves that you don't have to be funny. You have to be interesting. Okay. And I think we forget that. We think, well, the only way to be interesting is funny. Well, of course not. I have a list. I could show you 40 ways to be interesting. One of them involves humor. Now, that said, we'll still talk about humor, but right off the bat, I just want you to know that some of the greatest speakers on this planet aren't telling jokes. They're not necessarily funny, but boy, you can't take your eyes off them. They're really interesting. And even let's just I don't know why this came to mind, but even the great Paul Harvey. You remember Paul Harvey? Paul
Sure.
Harvey, good day. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't remember him ever telling a joke.
No.
Might be the most successful syndicated, more than Howard Stern, most successful syndicated radio performer that lived. And oh, by the way, he kind of really took off, I think, in his late 50s. So it's never too late. But humor, one, nobody, the fact that you sort of said, telling a joke, you may find me humorous, I hope occasionally, but you'll almost never find me tell a joke. I don't tell jokes. Uh, I tell them occasionally, with my friends, and I'm having a beer. Uh, but that's rare. I actually am not a great joke teller. I'm just trying to react and respond to what's around me. And so, and it takes the pressure off a little bit. But the funny thing is, you're not the only one. People think that I tell jokes a lot. If you could play back anytime you've ever seen me, and now quietly watch when I see you in our next retreat, you'll never hear me tell a joke.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
no, you're right. You're right.
yeah.
You
So,
find ways, however, you find humor in situations
mhm.
and shine a light on that in
Yeah,
a unique way.
that's very well said. And I don't know how and I don't know why, and it just sort of works for me. I know one thing. I really and I have to watch this. I'm going to suggest this for you. One of my rules of thumb is don't press, don't force it, don't come too fast. Meaning, some audiences know me, so I can go kind of fast. In other words, just pick up where we left off or whatever. But normally, I don't want to be the funniest guy in the room in the first 5 minutes. And I think that's where people make a mistake. They really want to grab the audience by the throat and really throttle them and stuff. I do. I want to grab the audience. I don't, but I'm not, I think we put pressure on ourselves. So we
Mhm.
just give ourselves some opportunities to just read that room. You remember that homework assignment? You have a conversation with someone in front of you. You have somebody scribing behind you who's not quite getting every word or writing a little too small or writing too big. You're going to see some very natural pockets of humor. But you have to have the interaction to make it work.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think, other than that, I wish there was the Zeroid in me, the Xerox guy, would love a four-step process on this. There isn't. But I think the more ad lib you do, the more opportunity you have. So the best ad lib is the involvement of the audience.
yep, yep. And the way you slice people off and give them different roles allows you to do that in a way that you can't do with the mass of people sitting there on the floor before you.
That's exactly right. I mean, if I don't, I'm just being funny with just telling me myself jokes, you know. So yeah, you're right. And maybe I'm what we call an unconscious competent on that. That was helpful that you pushed that back at me because I think that's why I'm always every time I write a new presentation, I'm looking for some way to interact directly with that audience because it gives me an opportunity, it frees me up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
And it proves to them, we use the word authentic a lot, authenticity. When you're in one of those moments, it's proving to the audience that you really are authentic, that this isn't all canned, done the exact same way. And I think we've seen speakers that, bless their hearts, they're trying, but you can get a sense of, I don't think they're deviating one word.
yeah,
Okay. Well, we don't have to worry about that when you start doing exercises. And yet, shh, don't tell anyone. And yet, you do it a handful of times and you realize the audience, they tend to go in certain areas. And even if they go in the opposite area, you're pretty much ready for that one too,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
So it's not really all that nerve-wracking to
yeah,
be authentic,
yeah,
if that makes sense. All
right.
right, hit me with another question. I like your questions. I'm supposed to be asking questions, but I love your questions. I love the humor question. I know we didn't necessarily solve it, but I think if we take that pressure off you and just make you interact more, I think you'll do you.
And that's when it does come naturally, and I can
Right.
be, a little goofy and not put someone on the spot, but find the humor in it. All
Yeah.
right. You used an expression, and I think that it's really worth talking about. You don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. And so you're holding back, you're sort of titrating the energy and what you're bringing to. Um, and I think this is part of the discomfort that I feel sometimes in a speaker role. I never want to be the smartest person in the room. And I've worked most of my life to create the experience of others feeling like they're the smartest ones in the room. And so when one must be on a stage, to share the information, how do if this is a challenge for you or something in the back of the mind for you, how do you contend with that?
Yeah, great question. Love the question. And we're going to kind of roll to an end on this one. Uh, I love the question because I don't want to be the smart. I don't want to overwhelm an audience with how smart I am. Julie, I went through one slump in my career, just one that I'm aware of. Okay. And I couldn't figure it out. My evaluations had been going up, up, up. This is when finally became a professional and I was on my own, and I got better and better at what I was doing. And then they leveled off. Then they start going down just a hair. But I could feel I was losing the connection. I actually flew another Xerox trainer out, and I said, I don't know what I'm doing, what's going on. And he had it immediately. He said, "You are so polished at this point, and I'm not patting myself on the back. You're making this thing look so perfect that the audience can't identify with you, and you're coming off as knowing everything on this topic." And so, what valuable feedback that was. And so, I realized that, again, not only do I not want to have to be the smartest person in the room, and we'll get to where I get smart in a second, uh, but I'm very comfortable. I think I connect better, reminding myself of that. I occasionally, so some process moves. I like to reverse questions. I like to relay questions. So when I get a question to me, want to be the smartest in the room? Keep answering everything. What up? You got a question? And the answer is seven. We just, well, you guy knows everything. I love a relay. It's a great question, Julie. How about the rest of you? Well, who's got a shot? Have anybody seen a scenario like this? How have you reacted up to now? That's called a relay. Okay. Sometimes a reverse is great question. What have you right back at them? But here's the thing that people forget. There's going to be a little voice in your head that says, I hope they don't think I don't know the answer. I hope they don't think, because we've seen people do that, where they keep pushing questions away and you go, oh, it was good the first time, but I'm losing confidence. So I think that the move we got to make, Julie, is we got to finish it off. Meaning, love, it might be about humor. Great question. How are some of you incorporating humor? How does that work? What about this? So are you using, what other things we could use? Okay. Frank, is it? So what we've learned is here, and I want to put my stamp on it if I could. What I do with humor, and now or I might say the third one, but I don't know, I have a better way of saying it. I refer to it mentally as blessing the answer. At some
Yeah.
point, we have to look at them and go, well, which one was the answer? Other than, boy, that was great. Now, any other questions?
There
And I
you
think when you do that, you'll love where you're living, which is the comfort of relaying and reversing, and the comfort of reminding the audience, you didn't fly me here to make sure you got the right information. Let me tell you, sift through it and tell you what we got.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those
I
are some
learned
processes.
early on that one of the ways to relay with a sense of confidence and credibility is I've got some thoughts about that, and I'd like to hear what you think first.
Love it.
Then
Love it.
tie it up with a bow, add
Right.
your value.
And one other move, and it's an old school move, but sometimes we're going to get a question like that, and I've got some thoughts, and I want to hear what you're saying. But we're actually covering that in about 30 minutes. You've jumped the script a little bit. I'm not angry, but in the old school move is I will. That's why I have a flip chart on stage with me all the time. Love the question. Want to make sure I get at that question. Let me grab it. In 5 minutes, we're actually going to be there. I'll put a process move behind it, and then I'm going to double back and make sure I got it. But that also keeps me from being kind of pregnant. I'm going to half answer this question
Yeah.
and then go back, or I'm going to look at the odds and go, we cover that in 25 minutes. Any other questions?
Yeah. Put a
Particularly if
pin
it
in
happens more than once.
it. Yeah.
So see their process moves, and I think look at those moves. You're really protecting the your knowledge part. You're also looking at a guy really looking you right in the eyes and telling you, in 40 years that actually bit me in the ear a little bit on that one. So I figured out a way around it. We got ways of handling the questions as well. I think that helps a little bit. Um, anyway, all right, you and I could go on for a while here.
We could. I think we probably will again.
Oh, we will. It's part one. I I'm so nice to see you. Love talking to you.
Well, then thank you so much for these great, really tangible suggestions.
How do people get a hold of you?
JulieWinkleGiulioni.com. I'm the only one out there.
Right. Okay. Now, I hate that, but can you just spell the Winkle part is just the way it looks,
The
folks.
Winkle is
But the
Winkle.
Giulioni,
It's Giulioni.
good.
It's got a lot of vowels in there. I'm on LinkedIn too. The only Julie Winkle Giulioni there.
Yep, I see you on LinkedIn. You're nice and active. See you on Facebook a little bit, and I see you on YouTube occasionally as well. So I know that you're not hard to find out there, and your books are just doing terrific. You're one of the Barrett Kohler success stories.
Thank you.
So good on you. Love having these conversations with you. It was nice seeing you again, and thanks so much for allowing me to kind of get into this a little bit and with you because it's helpful for you, me, and those who are listening today.
I sure hope so. Well, I know I've got a lot of value out of it. It's been a joy.
Thank you so much. All right, folks, we'll do it again as well as we can next time. Until then, stay safe.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please follow, rate, and review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. For more resources and to connect with Rob, visit thepresentationwhisperer.com.